It's the Monday Morning Show. Today is January 17th, 2020. And hello to you. My name's Ken LaSalle, and I am the creator, author, narrator. I'm the guy behind DC Home, which is coming soon to this space for its second season. And let me tell you, if you liked Season 1, you're going to love Season 2. For one thing, I've put aside a large chunk of time to invest into this project, which I rather enjoy because it just means better shows. And I won't be sticking to a weekly schedule in Season 2, so I won't be as likely to get tired or burned out. And we're picking things up as is from where we left off last season. So before we do, let's take a look at Season 1 of DC Home. The script for Season 1 of DC Home is available from Amazon if you're interested in giving it a read. And if you'd like to listen to Season 1 in its entirety with additional material and commentary from its creator, me, you can download the whole season from iTunes, Audible, and wherever audiobooks are sold online. Join Audible now, and that copy is free. But enough plugging. Let's take a look at DC Home. The year 2019 did not begin well for Sherry Finn, but then neither had 2018. And 2017 had ended with the death of her sister, which is all the family Sherry had outside of her nephew, Sean. Sean was left without parents when his were gunned down on October 1st, 2017 in Las Vegas, Nevada. This left Sherry and Sean alone. The only bright spot in their lives was the home Sherry's sister had left and the bar Sean's father had run, which was now left to Sherry as well. A bar and a boy. Sherry thought she knew how to run the bar, but she had no earthly idea how to run the boy. He was either masturbating or angry about something, and for all Sherry knew, those two traits were related. The name of Sherry's new bar was Freedom Fried, and while it wasn't exactly a staple of Washingtonian society, she saw her share of famous faces. Brett Kavanaugh, Chuck Grassley, Mitch McConnell. In truth, the bar attracted only the dirtiest politicians. But that was fair, because Sherry served them in only the dirtiest of glasses, whenever possible. The last grand hurrah for Freedom Fried occurred on election night 2018, the night of the Blue Tsunami. The Blue Tsunami wasn't a drink, by the way. It was shorthand for, can you believe the Democrats won? I can't believe the Democrats won. Did the Republicans cheat? Of course the Republicans cheated. The Republicans always cheat. But the Democrats won. That same night, we met Old Herbert for the first time. Sherry had known Old Herbert for a while. Old Herbert was the closest thing to family she had next to this chicken-flogging maniac who played porn on his phone at maximum volume at all hours of the night. But he was a man of questionable housing and almost certain mental illness. Sherry could never figure out exactly what was wrong with Old Herbert, but she knew he rarely spoke in his own voice. And he had a thing for Nicole Wallace. As Christmas came around, the relationship between Sherry and her nephew grew even more tested with the day. First, she had to explain to him why our president was putting small children in cages, separating them from their parents just as certainly as Sean had been separated from his, torturing them. Imagine having to explain to a child why his government is torturing other children. But that's what parents around the world have had to do for the United States of America. They have had to explain to their children that it was we who reopened the concentration camps. It was we who took over where the Nazis left off. And yes, it was asking too much. And then, to top that off, Sherry had to explain, not to Sean, but herself, how her government could have turned its back on itself. As Trump shut down the government because he couldn't have his way, thousands upon thousands of government workers, contractors, and just people they owed money to stopped having the extra spending money that usually went out to restaurants where they ate and bars where they drank. Bars like Sherry's. Bars like Freedom Fried. And as Sherry watched her bar lose its business and consequently lose its income, starved at the mercy of a president who couldn't be bothered with little people such as they, Sherry found herself caught between the rock of a government that could no longer bother and certainly was not paid to do its job, and the hard place of charity that was stretched until there was nothing left. Once, the United States government would have seen to their survival. But not anymore. Now, the fate of people like Sherry Finn and her nephew were left up to, well, whoever else was out there. Nonprofit organizations, charities, generous folk who opened up their home. They found a place called Uno Nomad where old Greta helped all she could in her old house, which meant that no one could stay for long, which meant that Sherry and Sean fell through those cracks as well. And Sean learned that he was more alone than he had feared. He had no parents, no home. And no home meant no school, which would normally be a happy thought, except that Sherry just had to tell him he'd need to make up whatever he missed. In his darkest moments, Sean really only had one person outside of his Aunt Sherry, and that was old Herbert. Old Herbert, with his strange voices and the way he talked to people who weren't even there, even though old Herbert assured Sean that they could hear him psychically. Finally, Sherry and Sean were left with nothing they couldn't carry, with most of the rest being generously stored by old Herbert in a storage unit he rented. Old Herbert invited Sherry and Sean over to his storage unit once they had lost the roof over their heads. There was still plenty of room for his things and their things, and for old Herbert, and for Alicia, an elderly friend of old Herbert's. And for Sherry, and for Sean. Because this was now their D.C. home. What would become of it? What would it mean to their lives? Who could say? A year has passed. I think it's about time we checked in with them, however, because events in Washington, D.C. haven't gotten any friendlier, and the Republican Party, in their effort to justify every rotten, terrible thing Donald Trump has done, has taken our country down some dark roads and has taken our people, hell, everyone, into a world where we would rather not reside. Sadly, like Sherry Finn and Sean, and old Herbert, and even Alicia, we don't have much of a choice. All we can do is be good to ourselves, be kind to others, and try to make this world a better place. I suppose we'll see in just a couple of weeks.